Hello and welcome to Frontrunner Motorsport. After a week away in lovely Cornwall, I'm back to watching motorsport non-stop around the clock, much to the chagrin of my girlfriend, who would like me to pay attention to her and the kids. This week we don't have too much to watch, which is fortunate. IndyCar and Indy NXT are back at Indianapolis, as was NASCAR with the mighty SVG in the field. British touring cars crossed the border to Scotland with 3 races at Knock Hill, and TCR Australia, which I will cover very briefly. With that, subscribe now, and let's jump into the video. Let's start with IndyCar. Scott Dixon made history with his 319th consecutive start, a run going back over 20 years, an incredible career that doesn't look close to coming to an end. Devlin DeFrancesco led early, but a huge moment in the championship. Alex Palou got involved with Marcus Armstrong, and Joseph Newgarden got caught up. A huge blow for Newgarden. Palou lucky to continue with minimal damage. Roman Grosjean was involved too. Terrible luck for him after a couple of improved performances of late. Over the first 20 laps, it was Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan Racing, who looked on for a great result. Graham Rahal led and Christian Lundgaard followed. Rahal was in contention for his first win in 6 years. It was a really clean race with only a yellow for the start crash. After the lap 50 stops, Lundgaard had a long pit stop, giving Graham Rahal back the lead and letting Pato O'Ward behind him. This was the chase for the win. Except there was the record-breaking Scott Dixon on an alternate strategy after his first lap spin, leading out front. The second half of this race was all about Dixon versus Rahal. I'll admit I was cheering Graham on. I wanted him to win his first race for 6 years, but he missed out by around half a second. Gutting, as he definitely had the car to do it. But Scott Dixon took his first win of the year. He has won a race every year going back to 2006. He's also never finished lower than 6th in the standings since 2006. What a driver he is. But keep an eye on Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan Racing. They are on the rise. Christian Lundgaard was 4th and is having a great year. Rahal got his best result since a 2nd place at the same track in 2020. RLL are going to be a big team in the future, maybe not on the levels of Penske, but definitely a threat in every championship they enter. Alex Palou still leads the championship and has a 101 point lead over Dixon with just 3 races left. The Spaniard had a quiet race, but he scored points, which is what matters most. I think technically only the top 6 can win the title, but it's going to take a disastrous weekend for Palou for anyone other than he to be crowned champion. Indy NXT was also racing at the Indy Road Course, not the most exciting race in the world. Hunter McElrea and Lewis Foster had a good battle that led to damage for Foster, the unluckiest driver in the series. Hunter McElrea won the race and goes into 2nd in the championship. As for Jamie Chadwick, she looked racy and has definitely improved. She went for an ambitious move on Nolan Siegel and lost a couple of places, but she did pick up her 4th top 10 finish in a row. As for the title race, Rasmussen leads, but still plenty of time for others to line up a challenge. British touring cars at Knock Hill, and things are looking up for Britain's premier touring car series with the return of Rob Huff, who has replaced Nick Hamilton at Team Hard and is a sight for sore eyes. Always fantastic to see Huff, who only had 1 full season in the BTCC back in 2004, but he did take 2 wins that year and has since become a star of world touring cars, a former champion and one of the most successful drivers at Macau. He also won the TCR Scandinavia Series in 2020, but that doesn't get brought up as much for some reason. Daniel Rowbottom was so excited he pulled over before the first race started to have a look, and then didn't get going again. Actually, he broke down, and I bet that worried the Napa Ford guys a bit. Not as much as the pace of the Honda. Josh Cook looked really on it for the first time in 2023. He put Sutton under pressure and got past with contact. A major worry for the title contender, and whilst holding each other up, Jake Hill got involved as well. For the first time in 2023, the BTCC was really exciting. Then it started raining. Half of the field pitted for wets whilst the leaders held on. The rain started to ease, but not before Ash Sutton barged Josh Cook out of the race. A shame, as it was the best we've seen of One Motorsport so far, and the best racing we've seen. Michael Crease went off, and with several cars and bits of car littering the track and the rain getting heavier, the safety car was called and slick-shod Sutton was brought back to the mostly wet field on a very wet track. Ash Sutton dived in late for wets, but it was the right choice because Moffat continued and went off, as did Rory Butcher, and all the slick runners who continued were out. And Tom Ingram was now leading. As the safety car came out again, Darrell de Leon went off under the safety car and extended it further. Sutton had dropped to 9th and it looked like there would be few racing laps left. Strangely, the race got started with Darrell de Leon parked by the side of the track, just a 3-lap sprint to the line. Sutton gained a couple of places but couldn't stop Tom Ingram from taking his second win of the year. A good race for Hyundai with Chilton finishing 3rd, once again thriving in wet conditions. That made the championship very interesting. Ingram had swung a small lead and pole in lap 2, except the Hyundais of Ingram and Chilton were disqualified for failing ride height checks, starting race 2 from the back and giving Sutton a massive championship advantage. First really good race of the year, and it destroys any intrigue 2023 had left in the BTCC. Jade Edwards was an early victim at the start of race 2. This was more normal with some good battling, a lot of good cars near the back coming forward. Colin Turkington is having a pretty torrid year. A crash here with a poor result in race 1 puts an end to any slim hopes of a title charge the Northern Irishman may still have been holding on to. Jake Hill won from Ash Sutton, who increased his advantage further. Stephen Jelly, Aaron Taylor-Smith and Dan Lloyd followed for an interesting best of the rest. Race 3 was wet, and back to the poor excuse for racing the BTCC has suffered in 2023. Ash Sutton won and is basically champion. It's a shame the weekend with the best BTCC action of 2023 is the weekend the championship was solely in the hands of Ash Sutton, with a long way to go. Ronan Pearson even gave up a first BTCC podium for Ingram in the desperate hopes he can retain his title. The BTCC is in poor health. Rob Huff returns with points on the board and that's great, but we need a few more drivers of his calibre to jump into the BTCC to start its return to good quality. Briefly on TCR Australia from Queensland, and only briefly because I could only find highlights. Bailey Sweeney was the points leader but didn't start race 1 with electrical issues. Will Brown returned to the series he won a few years back and took the opening win of the weekend. Brad Harris took his first ever TCR Australia victory in race 2 in the Honda, and Will Brown won the 3rd. This series has the same issues as S5000, not enough cars, and you can't watch it outside of Australia as far as I know. The racing didn't look amazing, and this series really needs to be part of the supercar support package to help it grow. It's a nothing series really. Like most TCR racing series around the world, Josh Buchan leads the title charge, but honestly, I'll probably never mention TCR Australia ever again. Finally, NASCAR. Like their IndyCar counterparts racing on the Indy road course, our boy Shane Van Gisbergen was back in action, and he has made his intention to race in NASCAR full-time known. He got a top 10 finish and is laying down a very impressive case to get that full-time drive. Future champion confirmed. He brought some friends with him this time. His current supercar points leader Brody Kostecki debuted. Former F1 champion Jenson Button returned. Mike Rockenfeller was there also, and another debutant in Kimuri Kobayashi. None of them could keep up with SVG. There's almost more cameos than full-time NASCAR drivers at this point. So, much to my annoyance, NASCAR appears to be in good health and a lot of drivers love racing in the series. Michael McDowell won, but I have no idea what it means for the playoffs. Anyone could be champion in 2023. So that was all the action from this past weekend, and we are now fully caught up on the motorsport. Race of the weekend is the first BTCC race at Knock Hill, a fantastic fight with many twists and turns. IndyCar was very good also. In fact, nothing was really terrible this weekend. Next week we have Nitro and European Rallycross. World Rallycross is postponed again, but RX2 will be in action. NASCAR and Supercars, so no SVG in America. TCR World and UK. DTM, and the penultimate weekend of Super Formula. A lot of racing and some close to coming to an end for 2023. Make sure you subscribe for more motorsport content. Leave your thoughts down below. Thank you for watching and have a good one.